Jeff, Jose, give us a quick. I know about you guys, right? There's a ton of people on this who are going to watch it who don't know you. Tell us how you got this thing together briefly. Let's get the history out of the way and then let's get into nitty gritty. How did you get this thing going?
Go ahead, Jose.
About 5 years ago, Jeff and I met at a previous office. That's kind of where we started our relationship. Jeff was a newer agent, but super hungry and just pretty much outworked everyone at the office. Still true to this day. And
Ah,
so we just created a friendship and we just kind of vibed off of that. And then a few years later, I transitioned over to EXP. Jeff was still kind of in his transition time. And then I just kept bugging him. Like I knew how great of an agent he is, and the type of like etiquette
yeah.
that he has, and just his tenacity that he has to be able to just do things. And so I wanted to partner up with somebody like that, and just kept kind of bugging him. And we ended up, joining forces and creating Power Real Estate Group. And so 3.5 years later, we're here now.
So bottom line, 5 years, new agent, experienced agent. We have team leaders from indie brokerages, every type of brand there is, right? Just so happens that you're with EXP, which is super cool.
Yeah.
And what I love is new agent, 5 years. You guys are pushing towards 500 transactions this year, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah. So we're probably going to land high fours, 480, 490-ish. We got 2 weeks left, right?
Brother,
So,
that's fantastic. And you see, do you ever hear that? We have 2 weeks left. So that already is a mentality indicator, right? No, well, we're going to kind of wind down to the end of the year. We got 2 weeks left. So you're driving the last 2 weeks of the year.
oh, 100%. The board behind me is, sticky notes mapped out of every process, every office, every structure, who, what, where, when, and how, and why that things are operating, and what's the reason behind everything you're doing.
All
So
right. So we
we
want to
obsess
find
about
out
that.
what you're doing and how you get that number of leads. And I'm going to ask you to be as accurate as you can without getting too granular, right? So you, the bulk of your transactions come from digital lead sources, large portals, or personals. Try and be as accurate as you can.
It's going to be personal. It's going to be a 2-to-1 ratio.
Two to
Our
one.
Yeah. So the average agent on our team has had their license for right around 2.5 years.
Okay.
And we leverage Zillow Flex to come in and takes about 30% of our business, right? And then the rest of that, so we don't do any pay upfront leads or anything like that. The rest of that is coming from massive open houses and making sure you're keeping in touch with your SOI and not being a secret agent. Our agents are trained to, how do you manage that open house? How are you leveraging one opportunity to get to 3, 4, 5 different opportunities? Yeah, a lead just came in, or a listing just you just locked up a listing. Now what? What do you do? And we really, really obsess about the activities that generate a business.
Yeah.
How do you teach those activities realistically? And you always hear team leaders say, we got these team meetings and so on and so forth. But how do you get that job done if they're 2.5 year agents that they get what to do? And in fact, maybe tell us the top 5 things you tell them to do or train them to do.
Oh, we're big on, well, it starts with the daily activity. When an agent joins our team, we try to set the expectations very early. The expectations are broken down into, here's what you're going to do with your day. And then we coach them all the way through the process to where they're just crushing their own personal deals. So for us, it's role play 3 days a week. It's me and Jose. We're in there and we are breaking it down to the conversation. And then once a week, we're measuring the activities that the agents do throughout the week. So we've taken that same process from what we were doing at Remax to what we were doing at EXP, what we're doing at Real. Nothing's actually changed. What we're doing is focusing on the activities of the day. The same way you run your business is activity, activity, activity. You're preparing your day from the day before, and we talk about what are you actually saying to your client,
All right,
right?
so I gotta like jam in on that one. So role play. How do your agents back up one step?
Yeah.
You cover transactions from where to where, just in one tiny little town, right?
No. We have San Bernardino, Riverside, Orange County, LA, and Yeah, that's pretty much
So
it.
that's about as much as Kansas, Oklahoma, Michigan, Oregon, and Washington all thrown in, right? So in other words, massive area, yeah.
Massive.
Yeah,
And do you have like an office, physical office?
We have three.
yeah.
3 offices, okay. And what percentage of the agents go into the office? Because when you talk about 3 times a week role playing, I'm like, how do you do that? I'm sure we're all thinking the same thing. How do you do it?
Our team is probably about 120, right?
Okay.
About 120 agents. Every day coming into all three of the offices, you're probably going to get probably around 60 of that. About 50% are coming in.
Holy mackerel, half your people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we're super transparent. We talk
Is
about
that is that because you both are just darn good looking, or is there some other
that
magic
might be
in
half of it. That might be half of it.
I mean, look at me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to get half the people coming in to look at me. It's not going to happen.
But they're coming
What?
for wisdom. 46 years in the game. You got some time to be able to.
Thanks, man.
They're coming. They're locking that in.
Seriously, though, 50%, Sam, that's like off the charts.
Yeah,
Jose.
well, I always like to kind of say, my mom married the handsome one, not the rich one. So that has a little bit to do with it. But touching on one of the things
Yeah.
about like why do agents get a lot of referrals? And one of the things that we really kind of teach the agents is that a client is not just a commission, it's a relationship more so than anything else. And we teach them to see past that initial check and for like their actual benchmark to be like the review and the referral. So that's one of those things I learned through Zillow is to always work like Zillow is just like what ignites everything. It's not necessarily the whole pie, right? And then so if you focus on delivering great service to earn a review, if you deliver great service to earn that referral and you have your site up, you're going to get a lot more from a transactional from a lead than most people would, right? Some people are very transactional, they're just closing Zillow deals, but you really got to try to get that referral because that's how you're going to make a little more bang for your buck.
All right. So your coaching is in person. You're not doing Zoom role plays.
We do a hybrid. So 9 o'clock is going. So we have a 9 o'clock and a 10 o'clock. 9 o'clock, we're pushing sellers heavy. And a lot of those seller agents, yes, they're going on an appointment out they might be driving to Lancaster, right? Which is 45 minutes to an hour
Yeah.
away. So
Yeah.
because that's happening, they can do those from home. But we also walk out at 10 o'clock and we do extreme situational face-to-face buyer role play as well. So we're talking about from when a car pulls up all the way to, hey, let's sit down and go over a buyer's consultation. Then we have in-depth conversations about the consultation. Then we have training about managing the process. Then we have training about, hey, how do you communicate and follow and continue to stay in touch with your client after you close? And because every month there's a different script and a different situation that we're really focusing on. And those scripts and situation repeat themselves twice a year. That way people have to be reminded more than they're taught. So I'm going off of the same repetition and, like, hey, you haven't seen this script or this conversation flow in 3 or 4 months, right? So right now, a bunch of transactions are falling out of escrow. So we're practicing working on your backup offer script. What is that conversation like when a Zillow call comes in and they say they want to see 1, 2, 3 Banana Street and that property is pending, right? How are you handling that conversation? How are you delivering bad news and being able to still create an opportunity to meet with the client and provide value? So everything is seasonal, and understanding the seasons, matching with the scripts, matching with the conversations, matching with the activities that they're doing.
What do you look for in agents when you bring them on board? And do you proactively recruit all the time? Do you find that you're recruiting peaks and then you settle people in, then it peaks again? How does that process work for you guys, realistically? Because team leaders always say, I'm recruiting every day and blah, blah, blah. When you really boil down to it, most of us, it's a little bit like this, isn't it? Right? So how is it with you guys?
Grow responsibly. Grow responsibly.
Responsibly?
Yeah.
Define that for us, though.
So do you have the bandwidth so everybody, when I see so much recruiting happening and you're bringing them onto the team, do you have a great onboarding process to make that process, as smooth as possible? What does your training look like? Who's going to be doing it? When is the training taking place? then it's also measuring and being able to ramp up the agents to get to a point where they're ready to actually go into the game, right? So that's a lot of what we're really focusing on. So where we're bringing them on is majority of the agents that join our team are joining our team because we record a lot of our role plays, and we will go live on Instagram, or the agents would literally just take out their phone because there's 50 people in the middle of the pit doing live role play here. And we encourage everyone to come at 9:30 so that you can see and feel the energy that the office has and figure out whether it's a good fit for you. Because it can get, like, culture is important, energy is important. I can teach it to you, but if you don't want to be pushed, if you don't want to, like, it can get intense in here. So
Yeah. And I would say we broke the recruiting process a few times. And again, it's because, one thing we found out, like, to really kind of make it stick, and agents that really do well within our program are people that are able to open a transaction within that 30 to 60 day mark. That's
30 to 60 days. There
yeah,
you go.
that's our aim, right? Because we understand that people are working on commission. There's no money coming in, right?
Yeah.
So our whole thing is to ramp them up as quickly as possible. We try to hyper focus on ensuring that they understand how to have those initial conversations, make sure that they know how to present the buyer's presentation. Jeff did an amazing BRBC in depth, like making sure that everyone understood kind of what was going to be happening. And so
All right, so
that,
Jose, let me just interject there for a second. Let me hit you on this, right? So I just applied to Jeff to work on your team, right? And I need to make money in the next 60 days. Realistically, because everybody will say they got to go through my 2 weeks training and 4 weeks reading these books. And, if they can jump over 17 hurdles and do a somersault off a 40-foot building, we'll give them one Zillow lead. Now let's talk the real world, right? So somebody comes in, they need to make money. This was me when I was 21, wife pregnant, wife never worked. I knew I didn't have enough money to pay the rent. I had 30 days to make money. Now, I happened to make it with Xerox Corporation, but it's the same story, right?
yeah, same story.
Right? So tell me now, what have I got to do right now? Are you going to tell me I can't talk to a customer for a week or 2 weeks? I can't take a Zillow lead?
No.
Tell me what I got to do.
So essentially, what we understood was, in order for somebody to learn how to do real estate, you actually have to do the thing, right?
Yeah.
And so what we started developing is what we call scrimmage. So one of the identities that we have in our office is that we believe that we're real estate sales athletes, and we're professional sales athletes. And
I like
essentially what
this.
that means is that we're practicing every day. What that means is that we're, understanding our metrics, understanding our stats. We're basically, hearing tape, right? Like, you're hearing yourself talking on the phone and
Yeah.
things of that nature, right?
Yeah.
And then so we took that sort of mindset, right? And initially was a 90-day hard edition, but 90 days is too long for somebody to last on a team without closing a transaction.
Totally right.
So we shortened that to about 30 days. And essentially what we do is we mimic the process. So that's one aspect of it, right? So they have to write offers, they have to do avids, they have to read home inspections and termite inspections. So it'll feel like they're in transactions, but they're not necessarily in transactions, right?
Will they do open houses in the first month, brother?
Yes.
Okay.
So
we can do open houses on day one. Like,
on
we
day
want you to
one.
be prepared with,
Now you're talking my
yeah,
language.
we
Go out and make mistakes, right? You learn
Yeah.
from mistakes.
100%. We open a listing a day. So the goal is, like, our problem is we don't have enough. There's 7 days in a week. Why are we not doing open houses every single day of the week?
Yep.
Why are we not treating these vacant properties like new constructions do? Where's the actual marketing going? Let's get some 25 signs. Let's put them out. And I'd rather you work there than having you come to role play and go to an empty
All right,
house.
so I come into your teammate, yeah? And you tell me, Andrew, get out of here and get back for training at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Go do an open house, right?
Yeah.
How much of that, sorry to be granular, but roughly, how much of that revenue that I make from that buyer or seller that I get goes to you? How much goes to the agent?
From the open house? You did the work?
Yeah, so if I get a buyer in on the open house, is that a personal lead? Is it a team lead? How does that work?
That's a personal lead.
Yeah.
Wow. And so that just depends on the experience of the agent. So they might get 60, 70, 80, that kind of thing, right?
Sure.
Correct.
We
Gotcha.
want to encourage it. We want to encourage winning activities.
Correct.
We want them to be focused and driven on the winning activities. If there was a cost, like our office leads are 50-50. right? So,
So if you like it, what if you, so if you market it and advertise it and run videos and blah, 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 then it's a company lead, right? But if they go out on their own.
If it came in through the system, if it came in through Follow Up Boss and we handed it over to you, or you went and found it in a pond. So that's another thing. We quickly identify ALM. It's 3 questions, guys, maybe 4. Then we work on, all right, cool. Let's have conversational role play. Can you work on an LP mama to figure out and then tie in a Ford to have a real estate conversation? What areas are important to them? What's bringing them to the market? What's the structure? All of those different things. Those are conversations that are continuously training. And we want to put you into an open house opportunity as quickly as possible so that you can practice that. And we want the feedback. We want the feedback of how is that going. And so that's the cool thing about role playing 3 days a week is, hey, what happened yesterday? Oh yeah, I got stumbled on this. All right, cool. Let's figure that right now.
Yep. I love it. So I just saw a comment, several comments coming up. Somebody says, what's LP Mama and ALM? And somebody else said, I've been in the business 2 weeks and I'm already out doing open houses. So there's people listening to you right now. So if it's an open, so, oh, by the way, what is LP Mama?
Location, price, motivation, agent, mortgage, and appointment. ALM is appointment, location, and motivation.
And don't forget Ford.
Ford is family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. Some people call it FROG, which is family, recreation, occupation, and goals.
Right.
Which, acronyms are
No, they're powerful. Okay. So there's so much we could talk about, but I want to drain everything I can out of you. Okay.
We're here.
All right. So we're talking about these open houses, personal split on the open houses, but get out of the office and go. And I guess you leave it up to the agent then to do their flyers and do all that practical stuff. You supply the signs. Other than that, it's let's rock and roll, right?
Yeah. Overall, we have a marketing department. So as soon as an open house, they have a document a jot form that they fill out, and an open house gets processed. Yep. And so their headshot goes on to the market. We don't want them sitting behind and playing with Canva all day. Canva's not a money-making activity. No one remembers your flyer from 2 open houses ago. Right? Exactly. So, are you posting or are you marketing? Just get in front of people, have conversations, and let's work on the conversations because conversion is through conversation.
What percentage of your business is buy side? What percentage is sell side?
Buy side up before 2024, it was probably 80-20. We're probably looking at 60-40 right now. And those year 3, that group of rookie agents that we got 3 years ago, we have agents that are, locked up 30, 40 different, 20 to 30 listings this year between 10 plus agents. So
give me the top 2 ways realistically now that those agents get those 20 listings. What's the 2 most successful ways?
Zillow seller program, open houses.
Say it again. Zillow seller program and open house.
Yep.
And what percentage of them come from Zillow seller program realistically?
Probably closer to 70.
Oh, okay. So that's high.
Yeah. So because they're working those and then they work the neighborhood and there goes it's using Zillow as an opportunity. Use that opportunity to talk to the sellers in the neighborhood to start to, now we're starting to see, especially right now, I'm telling everybody, it's going to be the millennials. It's going to be the people who are 25 to 40 years old that are going to hit the market really hard. Yeah. And we're already seeing it coming through our database. It's not the person who's owned that home for 30 years. It's the person who bought that 3-bedroom, 2-bath 3 years ago that's going to be hitting. So when they come in, we work on that process to handle that conversation, meet the client as quickly as possible, and then be able to close. We're closing right around 60% of the people that we actually meet within the first appointment. I know on the last one that you were talking about, you're talking about how many things are happening during that second appointment. So that is a metric that we started to focus on as well. So if we don't get the answer we're looking for, our nurture campaigns have heavy video in them. Heavy, it's giving you, a person is telling you what's going on with your home.
Hey, do you guys know John Reyes?
I do not.
All right, I'm going to recommend him to you. Just a fantastic gentleman. He's been traveling to teams around the country for 15 years now. I don't know how, because he still looks like he's 12. But seriously, man, he's video, AI video, blah, blah, blah. And it's not kind of the wild videos you see with guys jumping off a building and doing a somersault into the front yard of a house. It's like real people. But you just caught my attention there. You saw that, right? You said, Andy, on the nurture, we do a lot of video. What does that mean? Be granular on that for a minute. How do you use video in nurture?
Yeah, I mean, so one of the things that obviously we do retargeting campaigns where we talk about the selling process and just kind of educating the sellers, right? That's one important aspect of it. The other I would say is we do a lot of Loom videos of our process and what the client could kind of expect, you know? So one of the things I was big on a program called Clever back in the day, and I used to get a ton of leads from that. And one of the things that was a problem was I knew that I was going to compete against a lot of people, which I actually like. That's the reason why I love Zillow, was because I was competing against people.
Yeah.
And it was refining my craft, and I was getting better and better each and every time that I beat people out, right? That's the thing that made me really kind of proud about doing these type of leads versus SOI. I mean, I love SOI, don't get me wrong, but like I had a little extra oomph, right? Because
Yeah.
iron sharpens iron, right? And so I thought of like, how do I beat somebody to a listing appointment, right? Like if you have a listing appointment tomorrow, most likely you're going to be the one that's going to win it, right? And so one of the things that I started doing was recording myself and recording my presentation and recording, you know, like as if I was speaking to you, right? And it's like a 5 to 10 minute video. It's nothing too crazy, but it allowed me to gain that appointment, right? Like people wouldn't dismiss me. And then
Got
what I
it.
started seeing was that people eventually started signing listings without me ever meeting them. And I was like, oh, Jesus. Okay.
Well, that's interesting. So do all of your, Jeff, Jose, do you guys take those looms, mate, and then have your guys on the team use those looms of you, or you train them how to do the looms themselves?
It has to be from them. And the reason,
Uh-huh.
like Jose was saying, Jose was doing that and when I met Jose, right? So what we've done now is an opportunity comes in and we're having a conversation and they want to nurture, they're going to sell in March. Well, every 2 weeks between now and March, you're going to get an update of what's going on in your neighborhood. And where we really started to step the gas on it was looking at companies such as Robinhood. If you don't log into Robinhood, it'll send you a notification about your stock. And if we start to treat stock is an investment. So as a real estate professional, no one should be able to talk about your real estate investment better than me. So why are we not sending over videos? And I'm nurturing. Are we naturing or are we nurturing, right? Naturing is already cool. All right, cool. See you in 6 months. And I'll come back and check in.
Yeah, yeah.
No, every 2 weeks, let's talk about what happened. And there goes the nature of our nurturing to be able to understand the process. So an agent's going in and they're saying, hey, here's what happened in your neighborhood. Here's what's going on in the city of this. Boom, 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 send that over. The clients are loving it. They're reacting to it. And like Jose said, we're getting people to say, hey, I'm actually ready. I saw your process. I saw what it is. When can you come by? I'm ready to sign.
Well, I'm gonna take a curveball for a minute.
Yeah.
You're out. This is just great. You totally got me. I could do this for an hour and a half with you guys. We've only got 40 minutes. So another question. What's the average time that your agents work a week who are making money? Realistically, be as conservative as possible.
It's gonna range most likely between 40 and 60 hours.
Yeah.
And how many of your 120 agents put in 40 to 60 hours?
That's going to be the 50.
Half.
Yeah. Yep. The ones that are showing up.
So that's enormous. Even 30% is enormous. All right. Now, next question. How much do you two spend working a week?
Well, I'm going to say Jeff definitely takes the lead on that. I just had a baby, and so my job is just
Congrats, mate.
Thank you. About a year ago, but you know, sleepless nights. But I mean, I kind of got what I wished for, but it's one of those things. Don't pray for the reward if you're not ready for the sacrifice, right? And so I was like, man, I wish I always had somebody that worked as hard as me, and then I get Jeff.
I love it.
I'm like, oh my God.
You're probably talking like 50, 60 hours you guys work, or 40, 50? How much time do you put in? Jeff?
Turn it off.
This is life. Andrew, I know everything about every team from Mexico to
Yeah.
right. We have Zillow metrics. So if someone's going to leave from Andrew's team to our team, and we've done it with your team,
Yeah, totally.
you literally have to show us what your SOI leads are because you came from a flex team. And are those really your leads?
Yeah,
'Cause I
totally.
will refer them back, and we've done this. Hey, Andrew, this lead came from your system. Like we've literally done that. I obsess about everything. It's who, what,
So
where, when.
so this is not a job, it's your life. You're just this. Look,
I love it.
you guys have got something super cool going on. Let's talk about scale for a minute, right? Where do you go from here? Now, look, everybody says, I have a yacht and a Ferrari and all that stuff, but the next year and the next 3 years, where do you go from here? I'm looking at two pretty gifted guys, right? And Jose, no offense, I just don't know you as well as Jeff.
No worries.
But two gifted guys. Jeff's pretty unique cookie. Um, how do you scale what you're doing? Do you want to scale? And where do you want to scale? And there's going to be agents who are going to look at this man around the country who are going to go, I want to hook up with these guys, right? So what scale look like for you guys?
It always ties back to grow responsibly. So we focused 3 years. So when I came over to, all right, me and Jose didn't work together for 3 months. I came and I walked into the office. He had 200 agents on the team. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And he was like, it's they need help and they're here. I was like, yeah, but they're not. Like, so within 3 months, I had it back down to like 60, 70. Why? Because there has to be standards. And top agents want to work around top agents. Hungry agents want to work around hungry agents. They don't want to sit in the same room with the guy who's on just scrolling all day. They want to have, when they come into this environment, like I'm always in this room. And I call it the lion's den because I pace around the table all day, every day. Right. So you're just watching what we do. So that was the very first thing. We spent 3 years really working on infrastructure. We've spent our onboarding process is one click. We own a virtual assistant company, so that, and we partner with some of the biggest teams literally surrounding us at Power. So we obsess about operations. That's why we have a graphic design department in-house. That's why we have different media rooms in the offices. That's why we have different social media campaigns and plugins and mood boards and all these things that go into running a business. So
Jeff,
for us, growth, go ahead.
Yeah, Jeff. So you just raise, every time you say something, I got another question, mate. It's just so cool. And everybody watching is like, it's okay. Tell me how do you do this? How do you do that? How do you do this? Right. So I'm not being rude. I'm just being rude. So how many full-time people do you have supporting you? And then how much of the workload is sent to VAs offshore?
Yeah. So in office, it's going to be me and Jose, Diego, Ruben, Monse,
Yeah.
there.
Five,
Right?
6 people.
Yeah. And then we have a virtual assistant team that every single person has an assistant. Then we have our ISA team who, is dialing and transferring live leads through Follow Up Boss to our agents.
Onshore or offshore, brother? Onshore.
Yeah. So we have
Onshore. I didn't hear that.
offshore. Off.
So are the ISAs, so let's get to Zillow for a second, all right? So we've gone all this way, we haven't talked about Zillow. You process, I don't know, 700, 800, 900, whatever, hundreds of Zillow leads a month, correct?
Yes, sir. Right around, we probably average about 400 from the buy side, another 200 from the listing side.
And do they come in direct to the agents on, one of multiple methods, round robin and all of that? Or do they come into your ISAs? How do you do it?
Come directly to the agents.
Okay.
Right. And so they come directly into the agents. And then after that, we're measuring activity and how quickly they're moving the stages and operating flow. Right. And then
So what do the ISAs do?
So we have over 120,000 leads in our database. So the ISAs, there's executive assistants who are working for the 5 or 6 people I had a conversation about or just brought up. And then, so for mine, let's just say we're looking at Zillow. They're looking at, are you updating? Is your Follow Up Boss updated? Are you moving things through? We actually go through and we extract and use AI to see whether you're having ZHL conversations and utilizing those as coaching opportunities, right? And we're utilizing Shiloh. When an agent comes in 5, you're going to have a conversation with me. For your first, after your 5th lead. You're going to have a conversation with me after your 10th lead, and you're going to have a conversation with me after your 20th lead.
Well, you're a busy guy.
But it's a 10-minute conversation. If you set the
60 people, 10 minutes is 600 minutes.
Yep.
You're a busy guy.
Yep. Yeah.
But I love it. I mean, I love what you're saying. Let's talk real quick for the technicians on this call, right? And what's so super cool is everybody who was with us at the beginning is still with us. That means you're a hit, right? So just get a I'm a hit hat and wear it, please, with pride. Talk about tech stack. What's the biggest pieces of your tech stack?
I would say Follow Up Boss is one of them, right? We utilize Follow Up Boss quite a bit. We're one of the top users in it. And so we're super proud of that. I would say we utilize Real Scout for our IDXing and just being able to auto nurture leads from buyers to sellers. We really like the experience that it creates. From there, we utilize Call Action to create certain texting campaigns and things of that nature. We utilize Loom quite a bit. We have Google Workspaces. Most of the agents are utilizing some sort of AI to help them understand, areas, markets, research things. Perplexity is one of them. Most of the agents are utilizing some sort of Otter, Fireflies, some sort of thing that helps them with meetings and things like that.
But the core things that make everybody money are FUB, Real Scout, Call Action testing, those texting, those are your top, and Loom, those are your top 4.
That's what I would say.
From an accountability standpoint, we utilize a lot of Shiloh with Justin Benson. And, so Andrew with Real Scout is doing a great job with that. Follow Up Boss is Follow Up Boss, utilizing everything. If it doesn't happen in Follow Up Boss, it doesn't happen. I can't coach you on what I can't see and what we can't measure. So we obsess about having the agents run a business. So all of our tech tools are built for the agents to be running a business. It's not 87% of realtors don't make it. It's 87% of small businesses don't make it. And the reason why is they're hopping. So we try to treat our agents like small businesses that they hired us to help them become profitable and scale. So with that being said, everything has to have a reason. We're sitting, we encourage them to go in and listen to your calls. Spend an hour a day and go in and listen to your conversations. Correct. What are the pointers? And tell us what you object about so that we can go back and tell some of the CEOs of these tech companies the feedback as well. Because overall, we're all in this to make the industry a better place.
Yeah, absolutely. Part of scrimmage, there's 1,000 phone calls that they have to make. So the two play.
Who has to make them and by when?
Typically, we like for them to do them within a 30-day period. This is going back to kind of like our training process and everything like that. And so
1,000 calls in the first 30 days.
Correct.
Someone said we didn't hear KV Core. We were with EXP. We're now with Real. So we've been with Real about a year and a half.
Got it.
So we're heavy on. We've been with Follow Up Boss since I got my real estate license. It's a very simple process. Majority of the marketing and things like that, we take care of. The agents are crushing it because they're face to face with clients all day.
So when you say back really quickly to Jose, sorry, Jeff, again, I was being rude. Okay. When you say 1,000 calls, I'm just thinking the mechanics. So you're just talking tap to call, no robo calling because of January 25th rules, none of that, right? So you're tap to call one at a time?
Yeah, I mean, that's how Follow Up Boss works, right? It's the guy within Follow Up Boss. So, I mean, they should be able to knock out 25, 50 calls. And then, we'll scale people from calling, right? Because we got to get rid of the nerves and.
Yeah, totally.
So we start with that metric and then we move into conversations and then we start moving into appointment setting and then just kind of, progressing as far as what your line of sight and what you really kind of need to be doing. And then it moves into money-making activities. But the listening portion of the calling to me is more important than anything else because it's really watching tape. It's literally them understanding where they made a left turn when they should have made a right turn. And you can only do that listening to your calls. You can't do that any other way. You have to shoot
So,
10 times.
so you record the agent and have them listen back to it, or you actually video them making the calls?
It happens
Yeah, I
through
mean,
Shiloh.
yeah, Shiloh.
So they go through and they log into Shiloh and
Yeah.
they're able to get detailed feedback about that call, and it gives them coaching opportunities. And then what I do is I look at the summary of those for our one-on-ones. Like, hey, you're averaging a 3.5. Here's some. Let's pick a few calls. And did you see this? Did you see that? All right, cool. Let's work on that and let that be an action item of what we're gonna try to improve in next month when we sit down, or next week, or whenever.
Gentlemen, a question just popped up. How do you handle cold text and cold emailing? Do you cold text and do you cold email?
Everything that came in is inbound. So our leads are inbound opportunities.
Got it.
Yeah. So we're trying not to get sued. So that's where a lot of everybody has an opt-in. Jesse B with Call Action, if you guys follow him, he'll tell you a year and a half about what you need to worry about. Right. So we've been working on that process to make sure there's massive opt-ins on our websites, on everything, for any time a lead comes in. So even at open houses, like we try to just, hey, we use Curb Hero, and are you comfortable opting into text messages and conversations going forward? And if you have a good conversation, if you practice having a conversation with someone, they're going to be like, yeah, reach out. Would you like to have neighborhood updates? Are you open to other open houses? Are you open? Yeah, I would love that. So
how do you collect that? How do you collect that data and timestamp it?
It comes in through Curb Hero. They type in their information. We can send back an automatic text message to them. And then it goes right into the follow-up boss, and it's assigned to the agent.
Correct.
Yeah, it's a magic. I want to wrap it up with this. Okay, we go another. Would he come back, by the way? Because this is exactly what Team Growth Mastermind is about.
Anytime, brother. Anytime.
All right. I'm still mad at you, Jeff, that you're too good looking, but we'll have you back. Okay. Seriously, guys. What's your top 2 pointers, say, to agents who've listened to this and are going to listen to it for 2025? Look, let's be honest. We're all into positive talk and everything, but a lot of agents were really scared this last year and really got beaten up. Maybe not on your team because you're so phenomenally strong, but the reality is a lot of agents really took a beating this last year, but they love the business. I've been around this business almost as long as you've been alive, Jeff, and actually a little longer than you've been alive, I think. And that's not to be superior in any way. It's huge respect. But it's been tough. So what's next for agents? If you had 2 bullets, you're going up 4 floors in an elevator. You got 100 agents in that elevator who are like, Jeff, I can't join your team, but tell me, what do I need to do? Boom.
The 2 things you have to focus on: managing your day. What are the activities that are happening in your day? Everyone tries to win 2025. How about you just win the first? How about you win today? Like, why do you even need to start January 1st?
Love it.
And then number 2, focus on the bottlenecks in your business. My entire job is facilitated around focusing on the bottlenecks in our business. As an agent, as a team lead, as when it comes to working on Sidekick, the virtual assistant company, whatever I'm doing, I'm focusing on the bottleneck to be able to relieve that and to keep the flow of business, right? I think one of the scariest portions about being a real estate agent that I look at in the industry is people are not running a business. Agents don't have office hours. How do you not know what everybody on Yelp? I can look at any restaurant, any coffee shop, and I can tell you when they're open. So they're not managing their day. They're not being consistent to the work that it takes to run a small business.
Second question, team leaders, what are the 2 things you would say to team leaders? Some of them, their volume shrunk this year. Others of them, it's grown. Last week we had an extraordinary guest, just did his $1 billion year after 10 years. There's some really cool people, right, who are watching this and be a part of it. Team leaders, what would you say to team leaders, guys?
I would say the fastest way to get anywhere is slowly. And secondly, I would say invest in your people. invest in their tools, invest in their know-how, invest in supporting them and helping them achieve their goal. And I think as long as you focus on those things, I think you'll do well.
Jeff McGonigal, Jose Simano, you guys are killing it. We appreciate you. We're humbled by you. Thank you. Happy holidays. I look forward to talking with you again soon. All right.